don't know.
Brian Kelly.
Pick of the litter when the job comes open. I think it's going to be similar to Bama of like, shoot, we can go. The framework is there. All we got to do is not go mess it up if you really want to go outside and get a good football coach.
See, man, you just brought that up, and I know you're doing the tongue in cheek. It's so much garbage out here. People just throw stuff out. And see, I'm complaining about just the way things are. Like a story like this, people feel like they got to say something all the time, even when they don't have anything to say. They just make stuff up. Brian Kelly is made up. You understand that, right?
I didn't know that.
Man, are you kidding me? Man, stop it.
Nah, there's no way he's
Kelly is not about to be the head coach of the University of Michigan.
You think he'll give up his accent and come back and be more of a northern accent if he do?
Well, he'll get his Midwest accent back.
First of all, the way he left Notre Dame because he wanted to get down in a different way.
Yep.
And then he gonna go back to getting down like they got down there. What kind of sense does that make?
No, he's not
right?
leaving LSU for Notre Dame.
You think Michigan is gonna pay his buyout and pay him a salary comparable what he's getting at LSU? Are you kidding? You smoking? What has he won that would make you think that Michigan would do that?
Well, do you do it knowing that you'll get? Well, I don't know if we're allowed to mention recruits' names, but do you do it knowing that he comes back? Oh, we can't. Do you do it knowing that he'll bring the number one recruit in the country with him?
What makes you think he'd be able to bring the number one recruit with him to Michigan? What makes
you got him to come to LSU?
Okay, that's different.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't know if that's. I'm not saying that's true, but you know,
they getting a lot of guys to come down south.
Yeah, no, they got the two of the best players out of Texas too. So they get everywhere.
A lot of the ranking stuff has been so saturated by families with money and all this, and everybody not doing their homework. We don't know who the top player in the country is anymore. So I don't think that holds as much weight as how it did a while ago. Because how many times have we seen guys who top 10 players, 5 stars, and they just not panning out? They just not very good. And it's like, wait, well, that guy was like 70th. Why was he way better than that guy? You know?
I agree 100%.
If you gonna pay, Lamborghini prices, pay it for a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
that's what I agree.
Don't pay it for a knockoff. Mm-hmm. Like, why you gonna spend all that money for a car that don't go that fast? And that's what you would be doing with this is agent talk. This is agent throwing the name out there and then people running with it and not really caring enough to vet it. It's just, I got to put out a list. So we just got to put out a list. Hey, okay, let's just throw out John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh is going to be the next coach of the University of Michigan. I could do it. Yep. He's going to win.
Hey, honestly though, Sam,
he's going to replace his brother
because they be going at it. I think that's a possibility. He like, you know what? I'm gonna go show him I can
do it better than you.
You ain't the only one trying to be the only one. You need to be thanking me because I gave you your last 2 defensive coordinators, Jim.
Hey, but think about this, Sam. If you hire from within, you're hiring someone with no head coaching experience, though.
You are, but you're able to perpetuate the culture. That's what you're looking to do, because this is the other thing you got to think about.
How did that work for Stanford?
Let's say, for the sake of argument, that this made up name Brian Kelly was accurate. Mm. I'm telling you right now, dudes will hit the portal. And I'm telling you right now, I've had conversations with top guys who said, if Sherrone's the guy, I'm staying.
Well, that at least a good continuity for a year or two, but then 5 years down the line, what does that look like? I said, like, it didn't work for that plan didn't work for Stanford. I wonder why we think it would work. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, right? I'm just saying from previous evidence and previous experience, when is that we're just going to continue with the next guy actually work? I remember North Carolina basketball with Bill Guthrie, but I can't remember too many other situations where that's actually worked.
Fellas, I got some breaking news, man. I've been talking to my peoples, and the next coach at Michigan could be Urban Meyer, man. That's all I'm saying, man. Just saying. I mean, and when it happened, don't come to me asking me how I knew and all that. Don't be doing that. Hey, Urban Meyer interested, man.
I hear your point, Daniel. And look, can I sit here and guarantee you that they'll be able to carry forward the success to the same level? No, I can't guarantee that. Nobody can guarantee that. But what gives you the best shot at maintaining the elements or the ingredients that led to the success, the culture that the success was built on? is hiring from within. If it doesn't work, then you pivot at that point and find somebody else. But right now, you just got this is a winning formula. And whatever you can do to maintain that winning formula, you do. Now, first and foremost, you keep Jim Harbaugh. But you, as I said on CBS, you can't make the man sign the contract. You just put the best contract I've ever seen in front of you.
And you did a good job on CBS. You did a good job.
And so it's like, okay, if he doesn't sign that, the next best thing is to keep his top guys. Yeah. So Sherrone, who's been here the longest, Ben Herbert, you ain't keeping Jesse Minter. I wish your only hope for keeping Jesse is if Jim stays, and even then, I think it's an uphill battle.
Isn't he the guy? Isn't he the prize though? Like if you look at the play of the team over the last 2 years, right? Hasn't the defense? I know the running game has been great, right? But hasn't the defense been by far the best unit?
I mean, Jesse Minter. So I give you what Vance said. I wish I had the clip ready to go. Vance said he has the best defensive scheme I've seen since I left the NFL. That's Vance Bedford, who is he was defensive coordinator at Okie State, defensive coordinator at Louisville, defensive coordinator at Texas, Charles Woodson's position coach, seen a lot, coached a lot of football, and said, this dude.
Wait, are we kind of throwing out the possibility of him being the head coach if Harbaugh were to leave?
And so here's the only reason why. If the roles were reversed and Jesse had been here 6 years instead of 2, then I think we'd be talking about Jesse in the same light. But I think it's Sherrone's time here, an investment in helping to build this culture and being able to carry on a lot of the ingredients that Harbaugh built that gives him the leg up. There's a reason why he was the coach when Harbaugh was out, right? Down the stretch. I mean, they didn't alternate early in the season when they knew Jim was coming back, right? And they was beating up on high school teams. Okay, we can switch coaches around. But at the end in crunch time, they went with one coach.
The one thing about that is like, and I agree with you. Like Sherrone's put his time in, but I don't want to get into hey, somebody deserves this opportunity thing. Because that's how you ruin everything. Yeah. Right. Minter has something that, in my opinion, is proprietary, right? Where him and the Ravens, they own that, right? Yeah. Other people are just scratching and clawing to get a piece of it. So do you allow something that's proprietary to what you have and has been able to do to walk? That's tough. That's a tough decision there, man.
DG. Also, it sounds like, do we know who Sherrone is, right? Like, I'm pretty sure we'll learn if he gets the job and he has the opportunity to put his own imprint on the program as a head coach. But everything that I've heard is continue what Harbaugh did. Harbaugh. Like, we can't, if he leaves, we can't. I don't want us to go into the new era of Michigan football still wanting the current coach to replicate the old coach because they're two different people. And that's a recipe for failure, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. We have to. I'm not saying he shouldn't get his opportunity, but hopefully if he does get his opportunity, whoever it is, they're able to run the program in their vision and put their imprint on it. Because if they come back and they're trying to be Harbaugh, it's the same as the next guy trying to be Saban. It's not going to work.
I think the sample space with Sherrone is a bit different, and it's different. I don't even think that the comparison with David Shaw is accurate because you got a chance to see it. And you got a chance to see it in more adversity than I think any interim head coach or replacement coach has had to deal with, given you're coaching at Penn State an hour after you find out your coach wasn't going to be there. And then you get in the game and you got to change the game plan in the first quarter. Hell, halfway through the first quarter. Game plan's out the window. We got to do something different. Then in week 2 of your tenure, your quarterback can't put weight on his front leg. What are we going to do in this game? And oh, by the way, now in the last game, it's Ohio State. And you navigated all 3 of those games. Look, man.
But on the other side of the coin, you can say, well, when you really look at it, Penn State, the offense was pedestrian. Why were they able to play that way? Because of the defense.
But
right? And you know what I mean? So, like,
as a coach, you got to recognize that, though, don't you, Devin?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But are we giving credit for saying, hey, our defense is so good that we're just going to run the ball every play and punt? That don't take no team to figure that out, you know?
Here's what I mean. You have a way, and I've seen this with a lot of coaches. You have a way that you think, this is what I'm going to do when I'm in control.
Yeah.
Right? You got a plan, and then you get in the fire, and the plan about how you think it's supposed to go ain't working. What do? A lot of these coaches, they get caught up. I talked to Gaddis about this, and he said I had to learn this on the fly. He said, man, I had all these things I want to do offensively, and then it's not working, and it looks right, man. The players keep messing it up.
Deaf and blind. I can't.
Yeah, the players keep messing it up. Well, if you calling something, and it looks like it's supposed to work, it's open, but the players keep messing it up, is that a you thing or a them thing? He got to the point where he said, okay, that's a you thing, not a them thing. If I'm calling it and the design is right and the plays are open, but they can't hit it, then I need to call a different play. Right? That's something that he said he had to learn. Sherrone he has a game plan. This is how it's supposed to look against Penn State. Yeah. We can't block these dudes. I'm not going to get caught up in how it's supposed to look. I got to figure out what I got to do right now to win this game. Talking to a lot of coaches, man, that ain't an easy thing to do.
No, I think that's Sherrone Moore's biggest strength is his ability to put his pride aside, right? And to not be prideful in the situation of like, this is my baby. I want my baby to be looking like this. You know what I mean? And it's just like, no, that's not going to work. Like you said, it's hard to put that pride aside and say, hey, I didn't get it this time. I got to switch. I got to pivot. And people can't pivot. And I think that's most people's biggest downfall, not just as a coach or as a player. That's why I talk about JJ and give him so much credit because he was in the middle of a Heisman thing and didn't complain when he was not able to perform and give, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that type of mentality when you're an alpha, right? Yes, it's hard to be both an alpha and somebody that can pivot that way when what you want to happen isn't happening. And so I think that's Sherrone Moore's biggest strength. I'm not saying mentors should be the coach, but you have to have a conversation of, do we just allow something proprietary to walk? I don't think you can just for sure say, hey, it's more and whatever you want to do, mentor, whatever. I think you got to have some conversations and caveats.
Yeah, I think, look, I wouldn't dismiss the notion
if Mentor wants to be the head coach. Never know.
He deserves an interview. Coaching pedigree, his dad, Rick Mentor, who I talked to Vance about, he coached with him before. He comes from a line of coaches, and he, as good as Mike McDonald was, and obviously he's killing it with the Ravens.
Turned it up.
Vance, who I that's my dude. And I came through with the promise people. He said, Sam, steak dinner. I took Vance to Del Frisco's, right? Hey. So I had never been to Del Frisco's. We had made it happen. So it was cool.
That's a classic Texas spot right there.
Yeah, it was cool hanging with Vance. But he said, Sam, this dude is different. He was out front of college football. He said, Sam, he was out front of Nick Saban. Yeah, you got to talk. You got to interview that guy, Devin. And look, if you interview him, and you feel like, hey, even with everything that I've seen from Sherrone, this is just too good for me. I'm not saying you don't give that an opportunity, but there's no question that the leader in the clubhouse, based on what you've seen, the time on task, and what he's proven in his assistant role, working from tight ends coach. When he got moved from tight ends coach to O-line coach, they were like, oh, this is terrible. He's never coached the O-line. How is that going to happen? This is a terrible move by Jim Harbaugh. Joe Moore Award. Then you move him over to you move it right back to back. Then he moves to offensive coordinator. How the hell you gonna have him be offensive? Okay, it looked pretty good when he was calling the plays, and I don't know, it wasn't always right.
Different areas of the field. We're not gonna get into all that.
Not gonna get into all of that. But then when he got the full reins, man, especially when everyone was healthy, okay, getting it done, figuring out a way, right? So every challenge that you put in front of him, he's met. He's exceeded expectations. So he's the leader in the clubhouse. He's the overwhelming favorite. Yes, you interview Jesse Mentor, and if Jesse shows you that he's got to be the guy, then you make that move. But there's no question. I think you're going into this feeling like the best way to maintain Jim Harbaugh's culture, if he decides to go, is Sherrone Moore.